Hello, today we are going to talk about RAFT, R-A-F-T, Writing Guidelines. A big compartment of the third grade state testing is written response, questions and answers. So today this tutorial will help provide tools to help practice with your child to help them become better writers at home, as well as these tools that are also being used within the classroom. The acronym RAFT stands for R is to restate the question being asked, A, answer the question, F, for example or to find the evidence within the passage, and T, tie it together or summarize. Students are provided a passage and questions. So today I've provided you with a passage with a character named Sarah. Sarah stared out the window with amazement. The clouds seemed to be moving more quickly than the car. She looked between Mom and Dad's seats and through the front dashboard. The sky glowed an eerie greenish-gray color. The radio was turned to a local weather station where a lady with a squawky voice quickly reported the tornado warning for Lincoln County. That was her county. Thoughts flashed through Sarah's head. Would they be okay? Would her house survive? Would her dog, Ralphie, be safe until they got home? How fast would the windmill be turning? What about John and Carrie down the street? Just as Sarah was about to bombard her dad with the questions flooding her head, he changed the channel to the country western station. Sarah's dad began belting out the words, completely out of tune, making up silly words for the verses he didn't know. Giggles overcame Sarah's tornado of questions, and she joined in the fun by making animal noises to the rhythm of the song. To go along with the AIR formats, I provide numerous resources to my children at school about the passage on the left and the questions on the right. So here's the passage on the left of the character Sarah, and here's the question that is being asked to the student. Aside from the tornado warning on the radio, what evidence did the author give to explain that the weather was taking a turn for the worst? First thing I do is I have my students write the acronym RAFT on their paper. As the students are writing, the acronym RAFT helps them provide a self-checklist to make sure they've met every requirement to become a better writer and to get full credit for their written response. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the restating. When you look up here, I underlined the author, explained that the weather was taking a turn for the worst. So when I was restating this in my own words and on the paper, the author explained that the weather was taking a turn for the worst. I always have the students underline or even highlight within the question. It helps them get in the habit of restating their question. I always tell them, if I don't know what the question is about, you did not restate it correctly. Okay, the next compartment we're going to talk about is the answer. So answering the question that was given. And as you can see with the pink, I went up to the passage and I found the answer. The clouds seemed to be moving more quickly than the car. The sky glowed an eerie greenish-gray color. So when I am typing in my answers, I stated, because the clouds were moving quick and the sky looked green and gray looking. Period. A lot of the times the kids will put a period here thinking that's a sentence, and it's not. It's just a simple restating. The period will go after the answer. The next compartment we're going to talk about is for example. This is where the student needs to state specifically where they found their answer. This passage is just one paragraph, but sometimes the students will have numerous paragraphs. So they could say, for example, in paragraph 1 or 2. But for this example, the student would have to put down what sentence. So, for example, in the second sentence, it says, the clouds seem to be moving more quickly than the car. I have the kids go back in the passage with a highlighter and highlight where they found it. The next compartment is the T or the tie it together. So, summarize, or what happens at the very end. At the end of the story, Sarah was not nervous about the storm. So I go back over here and I would have highlighted giggles overcame Sarah's tornado of questions. This tells me that Sarah was not nervous anymore. She was actually having a good time. So here's what the final product should look like, and it should flow. It should be easy transition. So here's the question again. Aside from the tornado warning on the radio, what evidence did the author give to explain that the weather was taking a turn for the worst? The author explained that the weather was taking a turn for the worst because the clouds were moving quick and the sky looked green and gray. For example, in the second sentence, it says the clouds seemed to be moving more quickly than the car. At the end of the story, Sarah was not nervous about the storm. So here are some tools to help provide for your students, for your child at home. So first, have your child write the acronym RAFT on their paper every time they're writing a written response. This gets them in the habit of always checking their work. The next thing is to underline the words they are restating with the question. So in that slide where we restated the question, I underlined it. The next compartment is to highlight the evidence within the passage. So using highlighters or crayons or markers to color over where they found it within the passage. Have your child always start their second sentence with, for example. This automatically tells you that you have mastered and met the F compartment in RAFT. A lot of students automatically start with because. It's not a good way to start a sentence. You need to say, for example. And have your child summarize or state what happened at the end of the passage. And this goes back to the T. And here is the reference to the passage about the character named Sarah that was read earlier. Thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial. Bye.